My family demanded I sell my house to pay my brother's $200K debt. When I refused, they broke in with baseball bats to scare me, so I let them. They forgot I'm a forensic accountant, and my hidden cameras recorded everything. I used that evidence to set a trap and ruin them. This is where the story truly begins, and you won't want to miss what happens. Make sure you're subscribed to see it through to the end. We're always curious. Where in the world are you all watching from today? Let us know in the comments. I was in my study, nursing a migraine. The low-grade throb behind my eyes had been a constant companion for 3 days, ever since my brother, Mark, had first made his request. It wasn't a request, of course. It was a demand, one delivered with the casual entitlement my mother had fostered in him since birth. Sell my house. Pay his $200,000 debt, just like that. The house wasn't just my home, it was my sanctuary, the one thing in my life I had built and protected from the chaos of my family. I was a forensic accountant. My life was about order, about numbers that balanced, about tangible proof. My family was about emotional deficits and unbalanced ledgers of resentment. I'd told them no, a simple 2-letter word that had apparently shattered their world. That's when I heard the sound that didn't belong, the percussive crack of glass shattering, not just breaking, but being obliterated. It came from the back of the house, the sliding door in the dining room. My heart didn't just jump, it seized. The throb in my head exploded into a symphony of panic. My hand flew to the mouse, clicking open the security feed on my second monitor. I hadn't installed the system because of criminals, I'd installed it because of family. And there they were. The grainy night vision image was horrifyingly clear. My brother, Mark, his face twisted into a mask of rage I hadn't seen since his teenage tantrums, was using a silver aluminum bat to smash the rest of the glass from the frame. Behind him, holding a bat of her own, was my mother, Brenda. She wasn't using it. She was just holding it, her presence an endorsement, a silent, terrifying approval. "Anne, get out here." Mark's voice was a raw scream, echoing through the house. "We know you're in there." I was frozen, my breath trapped in my chest. This wasn't a family dispute. This was a home invasion. They were armed. They were my blood. I heard their footsteps on the hardwood, the crunch of broken glass under their shoes. I clicked another icon, the one that turned on the high-definition audio recording for the internal cameras. They were new, discreet, and had cost a fortune. Worth every penny. "Where is she?" "In her precious office." That was my mother, her voice sharp and cold, laced with a lifetime of resentment for the very success she'd always demanded of me. My study door was solid oak. I'd had it installed for soundproofing. I quickly locked it, my hands trembling so violently I could barely turn the deadbolt. I backed away, pressing myself against the built-in bookshelves. An earth-shattering bang hit the door. Mark was using the bat. "Anne, open this door, we're not playing." "Mark, stop," I yelled, my voice shaking. "I'm calling the police." "Go ahead," my mother shrieked from the hallway. "Tell them what? That your family is here. They won't care. You owe us, Anne, you owe your brother." Another crash against the door. The wood splintered. He was going to break it down. "You think this is a joke?" Mark bellowed, his voice hoarse. "These people, they don't play, they want their money. 200,000 or they're going to hurt me, Anne. Do you understand? They're going to hurt me." "And it'll be your fault," Brenda added. "Your fault for sitting in this big, empty house while your brother suffers. We just need the money, Anne. Sell the house, it's just a thing." It's just a thing. This house was my life's work. It was the physical manifestation of every 80-hour work week, every missed vacation, every sacrifice I had made to climb out of the generational poverty they were still drowning in. I'd bought this specific house to save her from foreclosure, letting her live in the attached guest suite until she'd thrown a fit and moved out, claiming I was controlling. Another splintering crack. The lock was holding, but the frame was giving way. "We're not leaving without an answer, Anne," Mark roared, "and that answer is yes." I looked at the monitor. The camera in the hall was capturing it all. Mark, sweaty and enraged, winding up for another swing. My mother, standing behind him, her arms crossed now, the bat resting on her shoulder like a trophy. Her expression was one of absolute, chilling certainty. She believed in her heart that this was justice, that they were entitled to this. I sank to the floor, my back against the wall, and did the only thing I could. I pulled my knees to my chest, watched the monitor, and let them. I let them scream. I let them swing. I let them commit to their crime, all while the tiny, hidden lenses captured every second of their rage, every word of their threats. They were trying to terrorize me into submission, to break my spirit so I would liquidate my life for them. But as I sat there, the initial terror began to recede, replaced by a cold, familiar calm. It was the feeling I got when I opened a new case file. The feeling of a puzzle presenting itself. They saw me as a victim. They saw me as their sister, their daughter, their family bank. The betrayal was worse than the violence itself. They raged for another 10 minutes. The door frame was ruined, but the deadbolt held. Finally, with a frustrated, animalistic scream, Mark threw his bat down the hallway. It clattered against the wall, leaving a deep gash. "You're going to regret this, Anne," he yelled, his voice cracking with exhaustion and desperation. "When they come for me, I'm sending them here, you'll see." I heard my mother's voice, lower this time. "Let's go, Mark. She's made her choice. She'd rather have her house than a family." Their footsteps receded. I heard them step back out through the shattered dining room door. A car engine started, tires squealing on the pavement. And then, silence. The silence was almost as loud as the violence. It rang in my ears, thick and heavy with what had just happened. For a full minute, I didn't move. I just sat on my office floor, listening to the house settle around me. The air was cold, a draft blowing in from the broken door. Finally, I got to my feet. My legs were unsteady like jelly. I walked over to my desk, my reflection staring back at me from the dark monitor. My face was pale, my eyes wide, but my jaw was set. I saved the security footage. I backed it up to the cloud. I backed it up again to an encrypted hard drive, which I locked in my office safe. Then I did what I'd told them I would. I called the police. The 2 officers who arrived 40 minutes later were polite but dismissive. I showed them the shattered door. I showed them the ruined study door frame, the gash in the hallway wall. "And you said this was your brother and mother?" Officer Ramirez asked, clicking his pen. "Yes, Mark and Brenda," I said, my voice flat. "They have baseball bats. They were threatening me, demanding I sell my house to pay his $200,000 debt." The 2 officers exchanged a look. It was the look I'd dreaded. The family dispute look. "Ma'am, with all due respect, this is a domestic issue," Officer Childress said, sighing. "Did they physically assault you?" "They broke into my home," I said, my voice rising. "They were armed. They threatened me. Isn't that enough?" "It's complicated," Ramirez said, rubbing the back of his neck. "If you want to pursue this, you'll need to go down to the courthouse tomorrow and file for a restraining order. We can file a report for the property damage, but honestly, without an assault. The DA is unlikely to pick this up. It's a he said, she said." "I have video," I said quietly. Both officers perked up. "Video." "Yes, high definition. Audio." Their entire demeanor changed. "Well," Childress said, "that's different. If you can bring that footage down to the station, we can absolutely open a file for felony breaking and entering and criminal threats." "I'll have my lawyer send it to you," I said. "I don't want the original leaving my possession." They nodded, impressed now. They saw a victim, but a competent one. They gave me a case number and left, advising me to get the door boarded up. As I was on the phone with an emergency glass repair service, my cell phone rang. The caller ID was Mother. I stared at it for a long moment, the repairman's hold music buzzing in my ear. I clicked over. "Hello." "Anne," my mother's voice was sharp, not a trace of remorse. "You're making a terrible mistake. You think we were bluffing." "You broke into my house," I said, my voice dead, "with bats." "Mark is desperate," she shrieked. "What were we supposed to do? You wouldn't listen. You sat there in your ivory tower judging us. He's your brother." He's a grown man who made bad decisions. You're his mother who enabled every single one of them. This isn't my problem. It is your problem now, we told you. He owes dangerous people, Anne. They're not going to just write it off. They're going to come for him, and when they do, we're sending them to you. You're the one with all the money. You're the one with the assets. A coldness so profound it felt like ice settled in my chest. She wasn't just threatening me. She was stating a fact. She would endanger my life to save her son from the consequences of his. Is that all? I asked. You're a selfish, cold-hearted. I hung up. I didn't have the space in my head for her vitriol. I finished the call with the repair service and then sat at my desk, the adrenaline fading, leaving behind a bone-weary exhaustion. They thought this was about force. They thought they could scare me, bully me, intimidate me. They'd brought baseball bats to a numbers fight. They had forgotten one crucial thing. They had forgotten what I do for a living. I don't get emotional. I don't get scared. I get evidence. I build a case. And I follow the money. They saw me as weak. They had forgotten that my entire career was built on finding the rot hidden beneath the surface and exposing it to the light. And as I sat there, in the ruins of my dining room, I made a decision. I wasn't just going to get a restraining order. I was going to find out exactly what Mark had gotten himself into. I was going to find out who this Vincent was. I was going to dismantle their entire world. My family was a tapestry woven with threads of resentment, jealousy, and entitlement. I had spent my entire adult life trying to cut myself free, only to have them snag me and pull me back in. I was the miracle, the one who got out. I'd excelled in school, earned scholarships, and clawed my way into a field dominated by men who didn't appreciate a quiet woman who could spot a decimal point of fraud from a mile away. I became a forensic accountant, a bloodhound for numbers. I found money people thought was gone forever. I uncovered schemes that were, on the surface, perfect. My success was, to my family, not a source of pride, but a resource to be plundered. Mark, my younger brother, was the golden boy. He had charm where I had diligence. He had ideas where I had a career. My mother, Brenda, had poured every ounce of her hope into him, every one of his ventures. The dropshipping scheme, the crypto consulting, the importing business, was funded by a loan I'd given my mother or a bill of hers I'd paid so she could give him her money. This house was the flashpoint. 8 years ago, my mother was on the verge of foreclosure. The house I grew up in. She'd remortgaged it to fund one of Mark's can't-miss opportunities. It missed. I stepped in. I paid off the delinquent loan, but on one condition. I would buy the house from her, clearing her debt, but the deed would be in my name. Alone. She could live in the attached guest suite, rent-free, for the rest of her life. It was a generous, ironclad offer. She'd accepted. For 2 years, it worked, until my success became too much for her to bear. Living in my guest suite in my house, it felt like a daily reminder of her failure and Mark's. She started making demands. She needed a new car. The guest suite was too small. She told people I was her tenant. I finally put my foot down. I told her the arrangement was what it was. She'd exploded, called me ungrateful, and moved out in a storm of righteous fury. Right into a pricey apartment Mark had co-signed for and couldn't afford. Now this, $200,000. He just needs a little help, Anne, my mother had cried on the phone 3 days before the break-in. He got mixed up with a business partner, a man named Vincent. It was a misunderstanding, a deal went south. But this Vincent, he's not a nice man. He's threatening to break Mark's legs. He needs a lawyer, Mom, not me. A lawyer can't help. Vincent wants the money, he has connections, he knows people. Then Mark needs to go to the police. He can't, it would ruin him. Anne, please, you have this house, it's worth so much. You could take out a loan, just sell it. You can get another one, it's just a house. This is your brother's life. When I'd refused, flatly, the calls had turned abusive. And then they'd shown up with bats. This Vincent was the key. He was the antagonist I couldn't see, the one pulling my family's strings. Mark was a fool and my mother was a willing enabler, but Vincent sounded different. He sounded like a professional. My suspicion, the one that had been itching at me, was that this wasn't a loan. It was a buy-in. Mark hadn't borrowed $200K. He'd been promised $1 million, and he'd gotten in deep with a con artist. The threats were likely real, but not from a legitimate lender. They were from a criminal who was bleeding him dry. I sat at my clean desk, the rest of my house a disaster zone of shattered glass and splintered wood. My professional instincts were screaming. My mother had described Vincent as polished. She'd said he had a vague profession in global logistics and import-export. She'd commented on how he seemed so successful and was very interested in our family. Classic red flags. He wasn't interested in our family. He was interested in my assets. He'd done his homework, found the rich sister, and was now applying pressure through her weakest links, her brother and mother. The rage that had been simmering under my fear began to solidify. It became a plan. They had treated me like an ATM. They had treated me like a victim. They were about to be reminded that I was a predator. My field of expertise just happened to be balance sheets. I picked up the phone. Not to a lawyer, not yet. My first call was to a man I'd used on several complex corporate cases. "Paul, it's Anne." "Anne, yes, it's been a while. Listen, I have a personal matter. I need a ghost, someone completely off the books. I need you to find a man named Vincent. I don't have a last name, I have a phone number, and I have a general description. And I need to know everything." The next morning, I was a woman on a mission. The emergency repair team had boarded up the sliding door and temporarily fixed the study door frame. The house felt like a fortress, but a violated one. I didn't let the violation paralyze me. I weaponized it. This was my clever trap, my area of expertise. They expected me to be emotional, to either cave to the pressure or to react with loud, ineffective anger. They didn't expect me to be methodical. My first step was to formalize the legal shield. I met with my lawyer, a sharp woman named Sarah, and provided her with the high-definition video of the break-in. Her eyes went wide as she watched it. "This is staggering, Anne," she said, pushing her glasses up. "This isn't a family dispute. This is felony breaking and entering, aggravated menacing, and attempted extortion. With this video, a restraining order is a slam dunk, and the criminal case. They are in serious trouble." "I want the restraining order filed today," I said, "for both of them, but I want you to hold on the criminal charges." Sarah frowned. "Hold, and they came at you with bats." "I know, but this is part of a larger problem. My brother is involved with a man who is conning him. My family is trying to get me to pay a fraudulent $200,000 debt. If we file charges now, my brother panics, this Vincent disappears, and I never get to the root of the problem. I need leverage." "What kind of leverage?" "I'm a forensic accountant, Sarah. I'm going to follow the money. I've already hired a PI to find out who Vincent is. In the meantime, I'm going to do a deep dive on my brother's finances. And my mother's." Sarah leaned back, a slow smile spreading across her face. "You're not just building a case for assault, you're building a case for fraud." "Exactly. I need you to draw up papers. I want to put this house and all my other assets into an ironclad, irrevocable trust. My name as the sole trustee. I want it done by the end of the week." "That's fast." "I have a feeling they're going to escalate," I said. "I want to be able to tell them with perfect honesty that I no longer have the ability to sell my house, even if I wanted to." I left Sarah's office and went home. The restraining orders were served by that afternoon. The predictable explosion followed. My phone blew up with calls from my mother. I ignored them. Then the text started. "How dare you, a restraining order, against your own mother. You are tearing this family apart. Mark is going to be killed and you're filing paperwork. You are dead to me, Anne, dead." I read each one, and instead of feeling hurt, I felt nothing, just a cold, clear certainty. I was doing the right thing. For the next 48 hours, I barely slept. I dove into Mark's life, He'd been careless, as usual. I had old bank statements of his from previous bailouts. I used them to gain access to his online accounts, not strictly legal, but I was past caring. I was a doctor excising a cancer. What I found was sickening. Mark wasn't just in debt, he was the investor in a shell corporation. Vincent Logistics LLC? I saw the wire transfers. First $10,000, then $50,000, then a massive $140,000 transfer. He'd liquidated everything. He'd taken out high-interest personal loans, he'd maxed out credit cards, and I saw my mother's bank statements too. She'd been sending him thousands, her entire retirement fund, which I'd helped her set up. The $200,000 wasn't what he owed. It was what he'd lost. He was trying to get more money from me to chase his losses, to double down on the promise Vincent had made him. The call from Paul, the private investigator, came on the third day. "Got him," Paul's gravelly voice said. "Your Vincent has a last name. It's Gallo, Vincent Gallo, and he's not in logistics. He's a professional con artist. Has a rap sheet as long as my arm in 3 different states. Wire fraud, grand larceny, racketeering. He targets desperate entrepreneurs with a nest egg, or in your brother's case, a family member with one." "Is he dangerous?" I asked. "He's a fraudster, not a killer, but his collectors can be. He uses threats to keep his victims from going to the police. Right now, he's got warrants in Arizona for a similar scheme. He's slippery." "I have everything I need," I said, a cold thrill running through me. I had the break-in video. I had the financial records. And now I had the criminal record. The trap was set. All the pieces were in place. Why Mother, Brenda, violated the restraining order exactly 4 days after it was served. She didn't come to the house. She ambushed me at the grocery store. I was in the produce section, weighing a bag of apples, when I heard her voice. "I can't believe you, Anne. I just can't." I turned. She was standing 10 feet away, her face pale and pinched, her hands gripping her purse strap so hard her knuckles were white. She looked terrible. She looked desperate. "You're not supposed to be near me," I said calmly, placing the apples in my cart. "You're violating a court order." "A court order?" she scoffed, her voice trembling. "I'm your mother. You can't put a court order on your own mother. I'm here to talk sense into you. Mark is falling apart. He's not sleeping. He's terrified." "He should be," I said, pushing my cart past her. "He broke into my home." "He was desperate," she hissed, following me. "You don't understand what Vincent will do." "Oh, I think I do," I said, stopping in the middle of the bread aisle. I turned to face her. "I know all about Vincent." Her expression faltered. What do you mean?" "I don't lead with anger, Mom. You know that about me. I lead with facts. So here's a fact for you. Your son's business partner is named Vincent Gallo." Her hand flew to her mouth. I'd guessed his last name was a secret. "Here's another fact," I continued, my voice low and steady. "Vincent Gallo is a professional con artist. He has outstanding warrants in Arizona for wire fraud. He doesn't have a logistics company. He has a history of targeting people exactly like Mark and bleeding them dry." She was shaking her head, her eyes wide with denial. "No, that's not true. He's a good man. He's successful. Mark just made a mistake on a deal." "Did he?" I pulled my phone from my pocket. I had the files ready. "Here's the wire transfer, Mom. $140,000 from Mark's account to a shell corporation, Vincent Logistics LLC, which was registered 2 months ago in Delaware and has no assets. And here," I clicked to another screen, "is a transfer from your retirement account. Your entire retirement account to Mark, the one I set up for you." The color drained from her face. She looked like I'd struck her. He told me it was a bridge loan. He said the return was guaranteed." "There is no return, Mom. There is no business. It's a scam. The $200,000 isn't a debt Mark owes. It's the money he's already lost. He's not trying to save his life. He's trying to get more money from me to give to the man who stole everything from him." "No," she whispered, but the fight was gone. She was staring at the transfer records on my phone, the numbers undeniable. No, he wouldn't. Mark wouldn't lie to me. He did, and you enabled him. You believed him because you wanted to. You were so desperate for him to be the success story that you handed him your future. I put my phone away. And then, when he'd spent all of your money, you came for mine. You came to my house with bats to threaten me, to force me to pay a fraudulent debt to a criminal. She was crying now, silent tears rolling down her cheeks. Oh my God, what has he done? He did what he's always done, I said, the ice in my veins beginning to thaw, replaced by a deep, profound pity. He failed, and you tried to make me pay for it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm finishing my shopping. Don't come near me again. The next time you violate this order, I will have you arrested. I'm not bluffing. I pushed my cart away, leaving her standing in the bread aisle, her entire world collapsing around her. I had planted the seed of doubt. I had shattered her denial. But I wasn't done. The first confrontation was with the enabler. The next one had to be with the source. The attack on my mother's denial had the desired effect. It sent a shockwave through their dysfunctional system, but I had underestimated Vincent's hold. The first escalation was desperate and clumsy. I received a call from my bank's fraud department. Ms. Ann, the representative said, we're calling to verify some recent activity. We received a call from an individual claiming to be your brother, Mark, authorizing a liquidation of your investment portfolio. He had your social security number and date of birth. My blood ran cold. My mother, he got it from my mother. We suspected as much, the rep said. The voice didn't match our records and the request was highly unusual. We've placed a permanent verbal password on your account. No one is touching anything without it. Thank you, I said, my hand trembling. They were trying to steal from me directly now. The threats hadn't worked, so they'd moved to outright theft. This was the opening I needed. I called Mark. He answered on the first ring, his voice jumpy. Ann, Mom said, she said you. You tried to steal from me, I said, cutting him off. You called my bank, you used my social. That's a federal crime, Mark. That's identity theft. That's wire fraud. There was a choking sound on the other end. Ann, you don't understand. Vincent, he's not. He's not what, Mark? Not a legitimate businessman? No, he's not. He's a con artist. I know his name. Vincent Gallo. I know about his warrants in Arizona. I know about Vincent Logistics LLC. I know it's a shell corporation. I know you didn't borrow money. I know you lost it. Silence, just his ragged breathing. Mom showed me the bank statements, he finally whispered. She's a wreck, she said. She said it's all true. Yes, it is, I said. And here's what else is true. I have a file, a very, very thick file. It has all the wire transfers. It has Vincent's entire criminal record. And it has the full-length, high-definition video of you and Mom breaking into my house with baseball bats. The sound he made was a raw, terrified sob. No, Ann, you wouldn't. Wouldn't I? You tried to destroy my home. You threatened my life. You tried to steal my savings. You and Mom, all to protect a con man who was robbing you blind. You've been defending him, Mark. You've been his victim, and then you became his accomplice. What do you want? He cried. I don't have any money. He took it all. He said if I didn't get him more, he'd. He's not going to do anything, Mark, I said, my voice hard. He's a coward. He's a fraudster who preys on the weak. And right now, he thinks you're weak. He thinks I'm weak. I need you to prove him wrong. I need you to help me. Help you? How? Vincent is going to be desperate. He knows I'm digging. He knows I've cut you off. He's going to make one last, big play to get his money. He's going to come for me. And when he does, you're going to be there. And you're going to do exactly what I say. You want me to set him up. I want you to save yourself, Mark. This is your one and only chance. You can either go down with him for fraud and extortion, not to mention the breaking and entering, or you can help me put him away, and I might consider asking the DA for leniency on your behalf. It's your choice. He was quiet for a long time. The only sound was his shaky breathing. He wants to meet, Mark said finally, his voice small. He's been calling. He wants all of us. Me, you, and Mom, he said. He said he wants to resolve this as a family. He wants to come to your house. The cold thrill was back. He was walking right into it. Tell him yes, I said. Tell him I've had a change of heart. Tell him I'm scared and I'm ready to pay, tomorrow, 7 o'clock at my house. He'll come, Mark whispered. He'll really come. I know, I said, and I'll be ready. The house was clean. The boards were gone, replaced by a new, reinforced sliding glass door. The study door was repaired. From the outside, it was my sanctuary again. Inside, it was a stage. I'd spent the day preparing. Every hidden camera was active. Every microphone was calibrated. My lawyer, Sarah, was on a video call, hidden on my laptop screen in the kitchen, recording everything from her end. I had a silent alarm on a remote in my pocket, and I'd already sent the entire evidence package, the break-in video, the financial audit, Vincent Gallo's rap sheet, to Detective Childress at the police department, the one who had by now become very interested in my family dispute. He'd assured me a patrol car would be less than 2 minutes away. At 6:52 p.m., Mark's car pulled up. He got out, followed by my mother. They both looked hollowed out, their faces pale and drawn. They walked up the path, not speaking. I opened the front door before they could knock. Come in, I said. My mother wouldn't look at me. She just shuffled inside and stood by the wall, looking at the floor. Mark met my gaze, his eyes wide with terror. He's right behind us, Anne. He's in another car. I know, I said. Go into the living room, sit on the sofa, and no matter what happens, let me do the talking. A minute later, a sleek black sedan pulled into my driveway. A man got out. He was exactly as I'd pictured him. Expensive suit, polished shoes, a disarmingly handsome smile. Vincent Gallo. He walked to my front door, which I'd left ajar, and knocked lightly. Hello, he called out, his voice smooth as honey. Anne, Mark said you were expecting me. I walked into the foyer. Mr. Gallo, please come in. He stepped inside, his eyes doing a quick professional sweep of the room, assessing assets. Please, he smiled, call me Vincent. It's so good to finally meet you. I'm sorry it's under, well, such stressful circumstances. Please, I said, gesturing to the living room. My mother and brother are here. He walked in and his smile widened when he saw them. Brenda, Mark, see? I told you we could work this out. Your sister is a reasonable woman. He sat in the armchair. Opposite them, like he owned the place. So, Anne, Mark tells me you've had a change of heart, that you're ready to help him out of this little jam. I've certainly had a clarification, I said, remaining standing. I've reviewed my brother's investment, and I've reviewed you. His smile didn't waver, but his eyes hardened. I'm not sure what you mean. I'm a forensic accountant, Mr. Gallo. It's what I do. I look at numbers, and your numbers, they don't add up. From the sofa, my mother let out a tiny, choked sound. Vincent laughed, a short, sharp, unpleasant sound. An accountant, how lovely. Look, I don't care about your spreadsheets. Your brother made a deal, he defaulted. He owes me $200,000. I'm here to collect it. Mark tells me you're liquidating assets. That's where we have a problem, I said, keeping my voice perfectly level. You see, I've already sent your name, your company's details, and your outstanding warrants from Arizona to the police. The smile vanished. You're bluffing. Am I? I said. I also sent them the financial audit of the fraud you perpetrated against my brother. And just for good measure, I sent them the video of my brother and mother breaking into my house, at your behest, with baseball bats to threaten me into paying you. Vincent looked at Mark. You told her. Mark flinched, shrinking back into the couch. Vincent stood up slowly. His polished veneer was gone. Underneath was something ugly and desperate. You stupid woman, you think you're clever? You've just signed your brother's death warrant. And yours. He took a step toward me. You should have just paid. Now, I'm going to take what's mine, and I'm going to make sure you all pay for this. You're not taking anything, I said. He lunged at me, not fast but with purpose. He was going to grab me, intimidate me, hurt me. I didn't flinch, I just pressed the button in my pocket. "The police are already on their way, Vincent," I said calmly, as he was 3 feet from me. "And my lawyer is on a live video call, recording this entire conversation. You just threatened my life. That's aggravated assault to add to your collection." He stopped. His head snapped toward the kitchen, where he could just see the glow of the laptop screen. He looked back at me, his face a mask of pure, unadulterated rage. And then we heard them. The sirens, not one but two, getting closer fast. He looked at the front door. He looked at the new, reinforced back door. He was trapped. "You," he hissed at Mark, "you set me up." "She's the one," Mark whimpered. "She did it all." The front door burst open. Detective Childress and Officer Ramirez were there, guns drawn. "Vincent Gallo, get on the ground, hands behind your head, now." Vincent's entire body deflated. The fight was gone. The con was over. He slowly knelt, lacing his fingers behind his head. As they cuffed him, his eyes found mine. They were no longer threatening. They were just empty. The aftermath was a flurry of legal activity. Vincent Gallo was arrested. His charges were extensive: extortion, conspiracy, and the outstanding warrants from Arizona. My evidence package was so complete that the DA's office was, as Detective Childress put it, ecstatic. With Vincent in custody, Mark finally broke. He gave a full, tearful confession, detailing how Vincent had roped him in with promises of millions, how the pressure had mounted, and how Vincent had been the one to suggest, scaring me into paying. He agreed to testify against Vincent in exchange for a plea deal. He still had to face the consequences for the break-in. He pleaded guilty to felony trespassing and criminal menacing. The judge, seeing my testimony on his behalf and his full cooperation, was lenient. He received 5 years of probation, a court-mandated 1,000 hours of community service, and was ordered to pay for every cent of damage to my house. Our mother, Brenda, was another story. She wasn't charged, but in many ways her sentence was worse. She had lost everything. Her retirement was gone. Her son was a convicted felon. And she had, in one night of violent entitlement, destroyed her relationship with her only other child. She moved into a small, subsidized apartment on the other side of town. I sent her a monthly stipend for groceries, delivered via my lawyer's office. It was an anonymous, transactional arrangement. The only kind I could stomach. My reconciliation with Mark was slow. It didn't happen overnight. It started with a letter he sent me 3 months after the sentencing. It wasn't full of excuses. It was just 2 words: "I'm sorry." He was working a manual labor job, paying off his restitution to me in small, weekly increments. He was in court-ordered therapy. I finally agreed to see him. We met at a public park, a neutral ground. He looked older. The easy charm was gone, replaced by a weary humility. I don't know how to apologize." "Ann," he said, staring at the ground. "You start by never, ever doing anything like it again," I said. "You start by understanding that your actions have permanent consequences. You didn't just break my door, Mark. You broke my trust. You made me fear for my life in my own home." "I know," he whispered, and for the first time I saw real tears in his eyes, not the crocodile tears of manipulation. He had such a hold on me, and Mom, she just, I finished for him, always told you yes. And I was the one who always said no. I was the boundary, and you too tried to break me like you broke my door. It was a long, hard conversation. It was the first honest one we'd ever had. I used my own professional network to ensure justice was served. I provided pro bono forensic accounting for the DA's office, helping them trace the other victims of Vincent's scam, building an ironclad racketeering case against him. He was sentenced to 15 years in federal prison. My house was finally my own again. The new trust protected it and all my assets from any future claims. But the real peace didn't come from the legal documents. It came from the silence. The silence of a phone that no longer rang with panicked demands. the silence of a home that was no longer a target. I was in my study, the new sliding door open to the evening breeze. My migraine was gone. I was looking over a new case file, a complex corporate fraud. The numbers were messy, but I knew with time I would find the truth. I always do. The house was quiet, a true sanctuary at last. The betrayal had left a scar, but like any scar, it was a sign that the wound had closed and that I was stronger in the broken places.